Blizzard just announced a massive Overwatch update featuring a new game mode, changes to PvP, the return of loot boxes, and many other additions this season. Believe it or not, I have put at least 3,000 hours into this game. I've been playing it since the launch of Overwatch 2, and I'm still playing it now, testing this new update. Not your typical stereotype of an Overwatch player, considering my stance on things. When it comes to Overwatch fanbase, I consider myself in a silent community where I tune into new updates, watch content creators now and again, but don't necessarily engage in discussions about balance or the state of the game. Since I've been playing a lot and after testing this new update, let me tell you fam, this ain't it.
Just not with me right now. To battle! How could you not win with such an advantage?
So, Overwatch introduced this newly progression perk system. How it works is, as you deal damage or heal your allies, you get experiences to level up your character, enabling you to choose a perk. The first leveling up you get is a minor perk, and the second level up you get a major perk. These perks are all over the place as we get into it in a second. I have tried almost all the heroes in both quick play and comp, because in comp, that is where I can really tell if some abilities are broken or not. And it still feels like playing normal Overwatch. These new perks don't necessarily change how you play the game as they are marketed. Sure, some perks for some certain heroes tweak their playstyle a bit, but most perks play pretty much the same, leaving you wondering why they weren't part of their kit from the start. For example, Torbjorn turrets can now be placed on wall, and Echo can duplicate her own teammate. Why weren't these available at the launch of Overwatch 2? I don't know. They are more like a quality of life update and function similarly to what Marvel Rivals does with their heroes, except you have to choose it. Take Nemo for example. He can place his squid anywhere, that's a perk. When he hit a headshot, his squid shoot faster. That's another perk. Mantis was another good example. She can damage boot herself, which in Overwatch is a perk. When she uses up all her leaf abilities, you can get more by hitting headshots. You get the idea. This perk functions similarly to what Rivals does with their heroes, except you have 4 options. And these perks definitely aren't balanced equally at all. Some heroes got some of the best perks in the game, like Wife Lever being able to cleanse a negative effect, Pharah being able to move while ulting on her first minor perk, Bastion being able to heal himself or be a walking cannon. Meanwhile, others get a minor stat changes or abilities that are kind of useless. There's even one perk that Soldier 76 got that's actually a disadvantage. These perks sound interesting and unique, but in real scenario, they really don't do much. The gameplay and meta pretty much stay the same from the past season. You might feel different when you play quick play and everyone is trying to figure out how to best utilize those perks, but once you go into comp, you realize just how pointless they are. The Overwatch dev created this progression perk system to discourage counter-swapping. But because the perks are so minor, it's better to just go back to counter-swapping as you get the perks back in a few seconds anyway. Don't get me wrong, there is definitely a race to get perks as fast as possible before the enemy team does, but it doesn't really matter whether you get them or not because the better team just wins. In matches, I'm still getting kills and winning just fine without using them, although my teammates aren't so happy about it. Some perks really mess with your playstyle, like my support main Lucio getting a perk that allows him to get more bullets when wall riding. Unless the enemy team is brain dead and can't aim, that's when you get some sort of use out of it. In most scenarios though, you get shot and go back to spawn. Other perks feel so useless like my DPS main Genji getting a perk that allows him to get another double jump after dashing. Like in what way is that beneficial to me? And some other perks are so situational, you question whether or not you made the right decision picking it. Like my main tank, Doomfist, getting a major perk that allow him to get another empowered rocket punch if I hit 3 enemy with slam. I don't think I got to use these abilities once in the entire game. Just like I said before, unless the enemy team is brain dead, you won't get the chance to use any of these abilities. Oh, and by the way, once you pick the perk, you can't change it. In summary, this update is it's alright.
I mean, it's alright, like, overrated as fuck in my opinion.
It's fun playing some heroes and choosing whether to play aggressive or passively. Those 15% knockback on Lucio definitely are appealing, but do they really matter in the grand scheme of things? Tanks still feel like shit to play, it's a punching bag role, some supporting heroes still feels unfair to play against. It's pretty much the same as before, nothing really changed. This won't bring people back because it's just a makeup trying to cover its flaw. And this brings us to the fundamental issues with the game. This isn't a throughout study where I write an essay about article and discussion on why Overwatch fell off or anything. These are just what I see as flaw in the game. Of course, others can have their own opinions. This isn't a fact. Think of it as just another dude on the internet talking nonsense. To me, a game should fundamentally prioritize fun. And what Overwatch is right now is just not fun to play. I realize now why people are flocking to Marvel Rivals, because every game I play in Rivals, even the one that results in defeat, is fun and engaging, while my blood pressure is always high when playing Overwatch. While the psychology of emotional engagement between first person and third person perspective play a role, it's not impactful enough to justify whether or not the game is fun. This brings us to one of the most common complaints about the game: balance issues and character abilities. Obviously, the game is never going to be balanced with such a large roster, each with different abilities. There's always a character that will dominate the game and one that is absolute trash. Rival also ran into this issue, but for some reason, Overwatch tend to run into this problem way more than Rivals does. First issues I want to talk about is there is just too much hard crowd control in the game. Crowd control or CC abilities are powerful tools that can completely disrupt an opponent's action. These abilities can immobilize, silence, or otherwise incapacitate players, preventing them from moving, attacking, or using any of their abilities. In Overwatch 2, CC abilities are prominent because they play a crucial role in balancing the game and countering highly mobile or powerful heroes. These abilities can disrupt opponents, create opportunities for team coordination, and prevent certain heroes from dominating the battlefield, like Doomfist, Wrecking Ball, and Lucio. However, the prominence of CC abilities can make the game feel frustrating for many players, as they might feel helpless and unable to contribute. It also disrupts the flow of gameplay and make it difficult to execute strategies. One of the main hard CC abilities you will encounter in most matches is anti-heal, caused by one support character, and no one complained about it because everyone played that character. Over the past season of playing Overwatch, I realized the game balance generally revolves around one support character, and that is Ana. Other support characters have some form of soft CC like Lucio Boobs and Zenyatta debuff. Rival support characters also have CC abilities, but none of them have an ability that makes the enemy team dance to your tune. Think of one support character abilities in Marvel Rivals, without counting the ultimate, that the moment they use it, the enemy team has to take cover and fall back. There aren't any. Anti-heal is a problem, and Rivals devs know it. Ana's kits not only punish tank the hardest in 5v5, but also render most support in the game almost completely useless for a period of time. These abilities not only disrupt team play, but also leads to a feeling of unfairness. Currently, there are only 2 characters in the game that can negate that effect, and only Ana can apply an anti-heal effect on the enemy with a 10-second cooldown, making it feel as though she has the most impact in the game. While other support characters had these so-called unfair abilities, they were later nerfed to make them less annoying to deal with, leaving Ana as the only support in the game that received multiple nerfs, yet is still a meta character. Of course, all of this wouldn't be a problem if you only play support or DPS. But if you play even one game as a tank or with Lucio, you notice how excruciatingly painful it is to be constantly hit with CC abilities and constantly disrupted. The moment you and your teammate decide to dive her, she already has another ability ready. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, skill issue, just go behind the wall, wait it out, and only go in when she's done using it. I would say, no, because a character that makes you play by a rule is not healthy for the game. She is the sole reason why some characters are going through massive changes and balancing to be somewhat playable against her. In Rivals, I'm freer with my movement compared to playing Overwatch, where a single mistake or a wrong press of a key that put me slightly out of position could spell death. It's not fun when you aren't allowed to creatively express your movement, and playing against a good Ana players is really restrictive, which makes the game feel claustrophobic in return. It also doesn't help that some of these perks introduce even more CC to the game. And because tank players are such a small minority, Blizzard won't even listen to them. If you're not a tank player and you complain about hot CC, you label as a low skill player. There's just nothing you can do. If you nerf CC abilities, people would complain and stop playing the game. But at the same time, newer players will find it harder to get into the game because there are just too many CC abilities. This is why people always say Overwatch need a massive shift. These updates may sound like a big changes, but the fundamental issues is still relevant here more than ever. Another issue I want to point out, while not fundamental, does deter people from getting into Overwatch, and that is the character appeal. Have you noticed no one talks or get hyped about new character anymore? Back when Overwatch 2 first released, people were looking forward to new character abilities and how they were going to change the way we play the game. But now no one gives a shit anymore. I feel like since Overwatch 2 release, there hasn't been a single character that make me want to main them. Overwatch 1 has always been thriving as a game for everyone, with characters from different ethnicity, background, and history. This does in fact enrich the Overwatch universe and make it appealing to many people. But since Overwatch 2 release, the game is going more and more into what is called a Wokeification, where they seem to be focusing on releasing characters that check boxes and did little to nothing in enhancing the Overwatch experience. Just look at most of these characters that have been released since launch. Strong military black woman, check. A power-hungry strong independent woman, check. A strong girl boss and independent East Asian woman, check. A gay Southeast Asian man, check. Eat the rich British man with his interracial humanoid robot girlfriend, check. And most noticeably, a silly non-binary character, since of course they do, to attract children. Now all that left is a he-him trash can robot, and Overwatch can carry on the Concord legacy. Do any of these characters captivate audiences around the world to want to play them? They still don't know to this day why the Dragon cinematics garner so much attention. Because in that cinematics, these two characters are authentic, well-rounded characters in both narrative and design perspective. Instead, what we have now are just checkboxes design and over-the-top personalities that lack any substance. Some Overwatch fans will say, oh, if you care about pronouns and gender politics, you wouldn't be playing this game. Well, it's clear that Overwatch needs more players to keep this game afloat, as many are already migrating to Marvel Rivals. A lot of them go there for gameplay and new content of course, but I'm pretty sure a handful of them are tired of the gender politics and pandering Overwatch has always been turning out for the past year, because I sure am. And they aren't going to get them back either with the people showcasing the upcoming new stuff proudly displaying their pronouns on the screen. Yep, I'm sure that will get people hyped and come back to Overwatch. Yep, a game for everyone is a game for no one. It's a quote that is more relevant today than ever before. because of the divide between gender ideologies in the West. You either get the left or you get the right. There is no in between. They even messed up simple things like monetize skin for Valentine's Day, just recoloring older skin to pink, with the highlight being men dressed in revealing clothing that is reserved for women. Yep, I'm sure that will pull people back. Meanwhile, rivals make thousands of Valentine's bundles that showcasing the love between two straight couples. It looks like gaming is healing and the Chinese are responsible for it. You see, Overwatch to me is like that one friend that is fun to hang out with but constantly does shit that embarrass you in public. To remind you again, I'm not a top player, and I don't pretend to be one. I'm someone who plays video games to have fun and escape realities like a lot of men these days do. So I only state what is wrong with the game from my perspective. Seeing all this hype around Overwatch Spotlight and how it's going to quote-unquote save Overwatch, it's naive to think that way as the fundamental issues of the game still has not been addressed. And seeing how the devs are still diving headfirst and doubling down on the pandering definitely doesn't give me confidence that Overwatch is going to change. I will remain skeptical about the futures of Overwatch and believe that without significant changes to its core mechanics, philosophy, and overall political ideologies, the game will continue to struggle to retain its player base. That's about it. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe. Right now I'm playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, so stay tuned if you want to see the review of the game. That's about it. See ya.